Lesson 6 is about pitfalls, where you might fall down. The learning objective is recognizing reports with insufficient or misleading information. So here we look at outcome information. Here's a patient who was taking 40 milligrams of omeprazole daily. After a month, she developed interstitial nephritis. She was not taking other medicines. The outcome was reported as not recovered. The outcome of D-challenge was unknown. On re-challenge, the reaction was reported to have recurred. Is that a certain report? There was recurrence on re-challenge. There were no dates in the report. I would be very reluctant to make this a certain report. Why is that? There is no evidence that the patient recovered on D-challenge. In fact, the outcome said they weren't recovered. So the statement about re-challenge is suspect. We do receive reports like this, so we need to be cautious. And then there's duplicates. Be wary of duplicates. Look very carefully at the reports you receive. It's good if a National Pharmacovigilance Centre has a system for detecting duplicates, but checks are still needed when reports are assessed. Next, you might have too much information or not enough information. If a report only lists the suspect medicine and no others, and the patient has clinical conditions that would usually lead to other drugs also being prescribed, then if the reported reaction is serious, especially if unexpected, ask the reporter for more details. And there's more. A female patient, age unknown, was prescribed omeprazole. The dose, date of administration, and indication were an unknown. On an unknown date, the patient developed interstitial nephritis. No concomitant medicines were reported. No medical history was reported. The patient recovered on an unknown date. If you are building up evidence, you have a report, but it is not useful and should be in the unclassified category. There are also reports with many details but without much value. They are often from pharmaceutical companies. This is one example with 58 medicines, 2 suspects and no dates. It is not clear whether these were current or past prescriptions. And then there are reports with many adverse reaction terms, which are probably the whole of the patient's medical history. So be wary of those reports. They usually don't provide reliable data. In this slide, consider if this report is complete. Here we have a 55-year-old male patient. The suspect medicine was an iodinated contrast medium. He was having a coronary angiogram because he'd had a myocardial infarction the previous day. He developed a florid maculopapular rash several hours after he received the contrast medium. Take a minute to think if the report was likely to be accurate in only listing one medicine. What other medicines is the patient likely to have been taking, and when would they have been started? I assessed this report and approached the hospital pharmacist. The patient was already taking aspirin, simvastatin and metformin when he was admitted for the myocardial infarction. He was then treated with enoxaparin, clopidogrel and metoprolol. So at least all of the medicines started the day before his angiogram, as well as the contrast medium, were suspect for the rash.